All right, so we got Rancho. Taking a look at it here on Google Earth, and then also have the course notes pulled up here that they have on their website. So these are actually pretty decent. They got some good information in them as far as like what your targets are, where not to kind of miss, like don't go left on tee. So good stuff here to reference. And it doesn't look like a crazy long golf course. Like all the par fours look to be under 400, with some even shorter ones. Par fives, not like we got one over 500 on the front, right at 500. So just from like a distance perspective, doesn't look crazy. Looking at it here on Google Earth, if we zoom out a little bit, you get these parts that are a little bit condensed in, but then some of these shorter holes where they're not like side by side, just something to kind of keep note of, be aware of, that you will have some hazard and some out of bounds throughout the golf course. However, it's not a super long golf course, so we don't need to get crazy and get into a whole lot of trouble. So we'll go down here to what I believe to be hole number 1, and we'll just quickly go through some measurements. This one, I mean, just looking at it here, dogleg left, this whole left side is going to be out of bounds. You're going to want to hit driver and just like rip it right down here, center of the fairway. This tree on the right is 230. So if you block one way out right, you should still be past that tree. Relatively easy shot in. These greens are tough to tell exactly what they are, like kind of slopiness wise. From these aerials, you don't see a whole lot of change in colors. So they look relatively flat. So just kind of general rule of thumb is like, if we don't know exactly what the greens are until, the first couple holes, it's going to be avoid short siding. So if that pin's tucked on the right, we want to make sure that we're favoring the left-hand side of the green, and vice versa. And if it's front pin, we're kind of favoring a little bit long, back pin, favoring a little bit short, that kind of stuff. Just to kind of get a vibe for what the greens are. As you go, as you feel like, oh, okay, like, it's pretty easy to get up and down from just about anywhere around these greens. Then if you want to get a little bit more aggressive, you can. But this first hole here, pretty straightforward, little dog leg left, nothing crazy. And then if we go to the next hole, which should be this one here for following the cart path. And I'll just double check that with our kind of course notes. Par 4, straight out. It's got water back behind it. So yep, that looks like that's going to be this one over here. Delete that. So this one, we don't have a whole lot of side-by-side stuff here, and it looks like we have a fairway that runs out and then just a ton of rough there. So what we're going to do is look from this back tee box. We've got 240 to this bunker. 265 carries it. So probably looking at something like a 3-wood or like a hybrid long iron, something like that. That's going to put us in this 225-ish range. That's going to give us tons of room, side to side, 70 yards. Whereas if we look at, that bunker, if we decide to hit driver, take on the bunker, only 42 yards wide, this bunker is going to be in play. I mean, we may run into that mental aspect of like, you might aim at the bunker, feel like, all right, I'm going to hit it at the bunker and fade this thing back. But, there is out of bounds on the right and the stuff on the right. So, maybe make sure I don't hit it too far, like all that kind of stuff. We want to avoid some of that talk. So if you hit it out there, it's like 220, 225, you're going to have 130 to the front of the green. And then this one, it's kind of based off the shape of the green. If the pin is up in the front, I would say play long of it. Get yourself to this back portion of the green here. We got a lot of width back here in the back of the green. And it doesn't look like a crazy big green, so if that pin's all the way up front and you hit one middle to back of the green, 30, 40 footer, get that down in 2, it's going to help eliminate parts of these bunkers that, are going to be a couple yards in play if we're playing directly for the front of the green. On the flip side, back pin, just play that back number. So that is going to be hole 2, and then hole 3 should be another par 4 according to their notes. Scary narrow. Let's take a look at that, which looks like that's going to be this one right here. It does look pretty narrow. So if we take our little tool and we go here, from what I'm assuming is the tee box that's going to be used. We've got 250 to kind of the end of the bottleneck right there, which has 40 yards of width. So, this is one where we can hit something shorter off the tee. However, it's tighter the further back we go, and it gets wider the further down we go. So, this is one we got to kind of step up, try to hit a really good one, because, if we can get something a little bit further down there, like 260, 270, we have an extra 10 yards to deal with. If we can get one, really get after one and square one up, we get almost 60 yards down here, but that's going to be close to 300-yard drive. So, hit that driver, trust it. If you happen to hit one and it stays left, likely going to have more of a possibility of that ball staying in play versus if you hit one way right. And then green, same kind of thing that we talked about. We got this kind of like heart-shaped green. So really playing middle number every single time we're on that hole. And then our next one down here, we're going to have a dog leg to the right. Depending on where they have the tees, we're going to use this back tee box here, which makes this hole a little bit more challenging for a fader. Sorry, is this par 4 or par 3? Par 4. Very short par 4 is what this looks like. If we go, I guess, just straight as like, well, that's not the green. Still a short one, right? So we go to the green 280. On this one, let's take a look. So let's say you hit driver and you aim it right down this direction, kind of towards the edge of the second fairway. 250 is going to put us right there. So let's say you pop one down there, and the angle that we're hitting on, that gives us 70 yards. So while this is a hole that when you step up to it, and I don't know what it looks like from the ground, but as you step up to it, it may look like, oh, this is just, a 100 and whatever yard tee shot, 180 yard tee shot, 190 yard tee shot, just get it there and then hit one on the green. This is one where like I say, let's get after this one. Pull the driver out, aim it down on the edge of this second fairway here. You have 70 yards of room to deal with, maybe even more. I mean, if we really look at the angles that way, I guess more so this way. Yeah, we got like 70, 75 yards to deal with. So it's, if you hit the fairway, you keep it on grass on the previous hole, you should have no issue keeping it on grass on the next hole. So get it up there, and then pretty smooth sailing from there. The green, I would imagine on a short hole like that might be a little bit more tricky than some of the other ones, but that's kind of what we're looking at here. Then for the next hole, par 3, pretty simple stuff. Just where's the pin? Don't short side yourself on this one. It looks like a very narrow green. So, depending on what you're hitting into that green, it looks like this kind of, once again, middle back portion is going to provide us the most room for error. So I would, if you're kind of between clubs, go with the longer one here. Any of these bunkers, I don't know what the rough is like, probably a little overseed. So probably pretty easy to get up and down from the rough out here. But if you end up in one of these bunkers, probably aren't the end of the world. Then our next hole is going to be par 5, hole number 6. Little dog leg to the left. They're saying it's probably reachable, so that's awesome. And it looks like, I'm trying to figure out which tee boxes exactly are going to be used. These look like they angle towards our hole here, so I'm guessing these are going to be our tee boxes here. All right, so if we zoom out just a little bit so we can get a kind of bigger picture of things. So this is one where we have side-by-side hole, and that side-by-side hole is going to be on the right-hand side, which is great for you. We've got 235 carries the bunkers, so awesome, no issues. It's a dogleg left, so obviously, like, the more left we can get this ball to finish, the better. However, over here in Mars territory, not really where we want to be. So to me, the game plan on this one is we start this thing kind of left center of the fairway, rip it. If it goes dead straight, awesome, we're in the fairway, perfect spot, left-hand side of the fairway. If we get a little bit more fade on it, then we may end up over on this hole here. That's way better than being over here. So keep that in mind. Aim at left side of the fairway, rip one, and just hope that you hit one straight. And if you don't, hey, you're fine. It's par 5. Even from that side over there, it's still only 190 to the front edge. And probably coming out of rough, that's going to give you potential for a flyer. This one is, especially from this yardage out here, like we're not flag hunting at all. This is, if the pin is on the right-hand side, we can get a little bit more aggressive with it. If it's on this left-hand side though, like we're just trying to put that ball somewhere kind of in between these bunkers, and choosing a club that is definitely no more than the middle of the green yardage. The reason being is if we happen to miss hit one and we hang it out a little bit to the right, or we're trying to draw one in and it doesn't draw. If we look at the angles of this hole, we definitely want to, if we're not on the green, be somewhere in this kind of area here. That will give us a shot straight onto the green. We're not going over any bunkers. We're likely not short-sided. So just based off how that green is shaped, coming in from this angle is gonna be the best thing we can do. So, a draw, if you're able to produce one, would be great. However, if you're not feeling like you're gonna be able to shape one in there effectively, then aim it at the middle or just right of middle. Try to hit your normal swing. If it fades, great. If it doesn't, you're probably going to be fine. And then, that's, like I said, it's 190 front edge, 200, and nothing more than middle of the green number on that one. Next is going to be hole 7, par 3, a little shorty. It says 1 to 2 clubs less than normal as it's downhill. So that is going to be this little one here. This one's there's no bunkering, straightforward on this one. It's all going to be club selection. So it says 1 and 2 clubs downhill. Knowing that we got a bunch of shit behind it, definitely saying err more on the 2 clubs downhill. If you're kind of in between, go with the shorter. You'd rather be chipping from here onto the green than hitting it back here, taking a drop. And then, yeah, like I said, all distance control on this one. Our green is going to be only about 16, maybe 17 yards deep. So you got to get the right club on this one. If we're kind of in between, like I said, go with the shorter one. I don't want to see you hitting it over this green, get yourself in trouble. And then we'll go to hole 8, which I believe is another par 5. Sorry, it's par 4. That means, sorry, just a second, par 4. Oh, okay. Sorry, only one par 5 on the front. I confused myself there for a second. All right, so we've got par 4, and then we're going to finish on par 3. So 190 yards. Wonder if this is probably our tee box back here. All right, so to these bunkers, this is a short hole, 230 to the end of the fairway, about 270 to the green, front edge of the green, and then 250 is going to be at the bunkers or just short of them. So based off of this playing downhill, I'm guessing this might play a little bit downhill. This one's driver. You can get cute and fancy and hit something down in this area and leave yourself a little like flip wedge in, but why do that and run the risk of possibly mishitting a wedge and putting it in the bunker when you can just hit driver into that bunker? That's kind of how I view this hole, is like get as close as you can. Likely your bad chip shot or even a bad bunker shot from this front bunker is going to be better than a bad shot from the fairway. Plus you have all this room and you hit a fade. So you're going to have room out here to the right if you miss one, and a decent angle into the green as well if you miss one. So rip driver, hey, maybe you get there, we can get a putt for eagle. But otherwise, probably leaving it like somewhere in this front bunker or just short of the front bunker, and then getting it up on the green and giving yourself a chance to get up and down. That's what I like on that one. Then we come over to hole number 9, which is going to be looks like probably this one hitting over this kind of like canyony stuff. Yeah, once again, 1 and 2 clubs less than you might take. So we're hitting from up here down to here. We got a wide green, a little bit more narrow. Same kind of thing, right? So we see 1 to 2 clubs less is what they recommend. Erring on the side of 2 clubs less for this one for sure. I'd rather see you hit less clubs, step on it, and basically cover this like front half of the green plus a little front edge of the green or just short of the green portion versus hitting something trying to get a little too frisky with it. And we're back here, especially with downhill. We catch one that could just stay up in the air and fly back in here. And we don't want that. So going with of the 2 clubs, less of the 2 clubs. Green looks pretty easy to hit from up there. So that'll kind of be our game plan, is going to be take less club, hit it hard. If it gets there, great. If not, we're in play. Hole 10 is going to be a par 5. So let's find that one. So we've played hole 9. And it looks like this is going to be hole 10. All right. So hole 10, let's say we're using those right tees. 250 is going to put us here. Short of that is going to be a little bit too narrow. We're going to be kind of in the rough. So this one's going to be driver. And then I don't know how high how tall these trees are out here in the fairway. Hopefully not crazy high. It looks like these maybe are. These probably are lower. But let's say you hit driver, like you still have about 200 in. As far as distance control goes, you can play pretty much whatever number you want, knowing that we have room on the right-hand side. I don't, aside from like anything long, like I know we have some room back here and a decent angle chipping wise, but I don't think that we should really run that risk at all. So this is going to be whatever number you're going to feel comfortable with. Let's go ahead and hit it. Par 5. Trying to leave ourselves somewhere between wherever the pin is and this cart path, I think is a great target. And then we can chip one up on the green, get that putt, and get on with it. Then our next hole, hole 11, par 3. So we've played there. This looks like that will be our par 3 here. Yeah. All right. So this looks like this is our par 3. Tee box looks like it's kind of over in this range. Seems like a pretty straightforward, relatively large green, not super long hole. Probably, yeah, it looks like we're hitting from over here. Yeah, and then we got this little washout area that they mentioned. So, this is one where choose your number, be confident with it, be comfortable with it. Whatever the shot shape is that day, just kind of favor if we're fading, instead of starting it, right at the flag, let's just start it a little bit left of that. If we're hitting a draw, then other side of that, aim just a little bit right, let it draw back a touch. Don't force anything, just good, smooth, confident swing here, and you should be in good shape. Our next one, we're going to be, it looks like hole 12. Yep, hole 12, we got another par 4 with this little washout area down in between the fairway and the green. So we pull our our distance out. Driver should be perfect. That's going to be the widest part of the fairway. It's not going to run out of room. So driver is going to be good to go for you there. And then green, kind of like island style with the desert around it. It looks like, as far as our number goes, we're picking a number that's going to be middle yardage or short of that. If even pins in the back, we go and try to flag hunt that back pin, we have this bunker that's going to be in play. And if we think about it, like the green is actually, let's not even think about it. We can just zoom in on it and take a couple quick measurements. So if we look at edge of the green to edge of the green, we've got 21 yards versus edge of the bunker to edge of the green, 12 yards. So we're shorting ourselves and need to be more accurate by almost by 9 yards, almost 10 yards. So just something to keep in mind there as far as picking your number and making sure we get it on the green and get a putt for birdie. Hole 13. Next up, we got a par 4, water along the right-hand side, which is going to be this hole here. Which I'm going to go ahead and guess that this is our tee box back in here, or somewhere at least in that range is going to be our tee box. So the end of the widest part of the fairway is 240. It's going to be 247 to hit into the water on the right-hand side, this big water. If we take, so about 250 there. If we take from edge to edge, water to desert, we've got 60 yards. And we do have some rough here. However, we have a cart path, which I like to move this in on a cart path because, as we all know, those things are magnets. They're not actually asphalt. So we want to definitely kind of take that into consideration, because we don't want to hang one right, hit a cart path, end up in the water. And we know that down here it gets really narrow. And we want to kind of keep this thing back in the fairway. So I would say something about 230 off the tee, which is going to put us in this big meaty part of the fairway. It's going to take this big pond completely out of play. We don't even have to worry about it. So that's always a plus. And then it's still going to leave us only 120 to the front of the green. And then this is one where we're thinking about numbers, erring towards a longer club to hit the back part of the green. Front part's a little bit more narrow, but it's pretty uniform throughout. So not a hard and fast rule on that one, but I would definitely keep that in mind, that you have a little bit more room if you play for the middle to back of the green instead of purely middle or middle to front. Next one, we're going to have par 3. Looks like this is kind of where the course gets a little challenging, where we have the water in play on all of these versus, another hole there or some desert there. Doesn't look super crazy. And then this one for sure is we're playing that middle yardage number, or anything beyond that. So kind of like right between these two bunkers is really ideal, even to a front pin. We don't want to miss the green and have to get up and down. Odds of making a 2 or 3 are up drastically if we're on the green, even if we're back here versus if we're chipping from over here. So I don't know where they're going to put that pin. Don't know where they usually do put that pin. If it is in the front, then kind of take your medicine, middle number or a little bit long of it, get that ball on the green, and let's get putting. Our next hole looks pretty cool. Short par 4. I'm wondering if this is, that's a tee box over here on hole 15. I'm going to measure it from there, although it looks like over here, I guess it's the regular show. So this will probably be your tee box. So we've got, once again, 240. Well, to where, when it starts to narrow, we've got 225 to where it starts to narrow. We've got to where it comes to full narrow, 245 to where it fully narrows, and probably about 30 to 40 yards of width through there, and we have this water that pinches in pretty significantly. So, unless you're like bombing your driver and you're carrying it 280 today, then it's, a 215, 220 tee shot. We're not getting crazy aggressive on this one. We're getting something out there in the fairway in play and then getting it up on the green, right? 75-yard shot into the middle of the green with a wedge. We don't really need to get too crazy with picking a yardage that's middle or back or whatever. From there, we're going to go to hole 16, which is going to be par 5. It's going to dog leg a touch to the right, which is going to be this one here. And we've got all this washout area along the right. Tee box, probably one of these. So if that's our tee box and we hit something straight out left of whatever these kind of like trees are, kind of through the fairway, we're going to run out of room at 245 if we hit one dead straight. However, if we fade one, then we have all this room over here. This one really sets up nicely for a fader, because if you happen to, even worst case scenario, you happen to miss one way right, we're in play. Like, not ideal by any means hitting off of this stuff, but we're in play. Whereas if we go dead straight through the fairway, then we're in someone's backyard or on their roof. And if we look at 250, we still have some decent width there. If the driver's not feeling great, though, and we're a little bit concerned with it, then 220, whatever you hit on the previous hole, is going to be the number. We're going to leave it here. Even if it's in the rough, that'll be fine. And that'll allow you to advance the ball from there down closer to the green. With the goal, obviously, of avoiding then these two bunkers. Probably if you can take something that gets past the second bunker, awesome. If not, choosing something right in the middle, wedge it on, get a putt for birdie, go to the next hole, which is going to be hole 17, which we've got this par 3, pretty straightforward one. Another hole where we've got these kind of like a heart-ish shaped green, bunkering on either side of it. So sound like a broken record. It's going to be middle yardage number or deeper of that, because we want to try to avoid these bunkers. We want to get it on the green and give ourselves the most width of the green to hit. So straightforward stuff on that one. And then our final hole is going to be, should be this one right here, which is going to have some water in play down by the green. Hole 18, par 5. Love to finish on a par 5, get a good look at birdie. So let's drop our measurements. So yeah, driver is perfect. You're going to have a couple 100 yards worth of room to work with. So we'll hit driver, bang it down there. That's going to leave you somewhere in the probably 230 to 260 range, depending on how you hit that driver. So what we want to think about on our approach, especially with what looks like a little bit of kind of like a runoff area through here, is unless we can reach this green comfortably, like middle of the green comfortably, I would say probably go ahead and just lay something up end of the fairway and then get it on the green. You're gonna have more control and be able to get the ball on there with a better look at birdie than if we get a little bit risky and frisky and we bring a lot of, like, we have hazard short right, we have hazard along the right side of the green, plus we got all of this stuff over here kind of at our middle number. So if we don't hit our second shot perfectly, we're bringing a lot of stuff into play. And if we choose a shorter number, then we're still bringing, and we're just trying to get it close to the green, we're still bringing this pond into play. We still have this little like ditch area in play. And then, if we keep one way left, then, well, we're in the rough and we're going to have the same number out of the rough over here that we would from over here. So I think just keep this one simple. 3-shot hole, unless you have a comfortable number into the middle of the green. 3-shot hole, get up on the green, get a chance for birdie. Hey, maybe we make it, maybe we don't, but that'll give you your best look. So that is Rancho. If you have any questions, let me know. Yeah, have fun.